There are secrets that aren't hidden in old books or dusty, locked scrolls. Some secrets live within your own body, and one of them is located right in the middle of your belly. This tiny swirl of skin, this almost invisible circle that we usually ignore in front of the mirror, is neither a biological accident nor a simple birth scar. It's a remnant of something sacred. It's a portal, an energetic antenna, a forgotten threshold. In ancient times, many cultures knew that the navel was the first center of power there. We receive life, but from there we can also lose it. The human body, wise in its design, maintains this opening, as if to remind us that it all began here. Your energy still flows here. What most people ignore is that your life force can also escape through this point. Yes, as if you've left a crack open through which your purest essence flows out. The unexplained fatigue, the lack of focus, the feeling of emptiness or depletion after certain interactions may not come from outside, but from this subtle leak. In your center, what would happen if you decided to seal this point? What would happen if you covered it not out of modesty but out of strength? And if the simple act were the key to preserving your energy, improving your intuition, and regaining the inner fire that you once felt and that now lies dormant? This video is an invitation to remember to look at your body again, not as a series of organs, but as a sacred map full of portals and forgotten symbols. We will explore the esoteric wisdom behind the navel, its energetic role, and why so many ancient cultures considered it a spiritual center. I will show you how intentionally and purposefully covering it can bring about profound changes in your auric field, your concentration, your dreams, and even in the way you connect with others. Remember, the mystical does not always live in the complex. Sometimes the greatest awakening begins with a small gesture, a mark, a touch, an intention on your navel, and all your energy begins to return to you. So breathe, observe your center, and prepare to. That was always there, waiting to be activated, long before modern medicine defined it simply as an umbilical cord. The navel was revered as a symbol of primordial power and sacred connection. In various ancient cultures, this body center was not just a remnant of physical birth, but the visible echo of an invisible connection, an energetic cord that is never completely severed. Through it flowed and still flows a stream of information and subtle energy. In Vedic India, the navel was known as Navi, and it was considered a fundamental point of the subtle body in the chakra system. It is located near the third chakra, the Manipura, which is associated with inner fire, will, and personal power. Beyond the known chakras, however, some tantric lines spoke of a secret chakra, the lower Vindu, located directly in the center of the navel. It was said that whoever mastered this point could awaken the balance between the physical and spiritual worlds, since the navel represents the balance between what nourishes and what. In Chinese Taoism, the navel is closely connected to the lower dantian, the energetic center of the body. Taoist sages knew that a kind of invisible cauldron was located there, in which inner alchemy was cooked. It was not uncommon for practitioners of Qigong and Niden to direct attention, warmth, or even physical pressure to the navel to preserve the life energy qi and prevent its dissipation. In Mesoamerican cultures, particularly among the Mexicas and Mayas, the navel was a symbol of cosmic centrality. The words Nahuatl and Xolotl, which can be understood as heart or center, were energetically connected to the solar plexus and the navel, as this was considered the intersection point between the worlds, the material and the invisible planes. The famous symbol of the four-petaled flower, which in the Aztec codices represented the center of the universe, could be interpreted as a reflection of the human navel, the center of the microcosm, and even in the most esoteric Judeo-Christian tradition as a reflection of the body. The human body was described as a temple, and if the heart was the altar, the navel was the entrance. The Song of Songs, a deeply symbolic text from the Old Testament, describes the navel as a round cup whose wine never runs dry, a metaphor for the power that flows from within over time. These teachings were suppressed, obscured, or ridiculed by rationalistic and materialistic discourses. The body was viewed as a machine, and the navel as a forgotten button in the middle of the abdomen. Spiritual traditions knew what science still dares not acknowledge: that this small slit is the sign of our connection to the whole, an energetic gateway that, if left open and unprotected, can become a pathway for energy loss. Think about it for a moment. the single point in the body that was literally your connection to life before you began breathing on your own. Why should it be dysfunctional once the umbilical cord is severed? What is physically severed remains spiritually. What is forgotten remains. Today, many people feel tired, mentally distracted, anxious without any discernible reason, looking for external causes, but not considering that the loss of energy also takes place in the subtlest ways, and the navel, without protection, acts like an open door to the environment. Every emotion, every look, every foreign vibration that touches you can enter or exit there. That is why ancient cultures taught to cover, seal, or care for the navel, especially during rituals in public places, during meditation exercises, or while sleeping, not out of superstition, but because deep energetic wisdom. And now that you too know it, what will you do with this portal? The navel, although ignored by everyday glances, is a convergence point where life energy is organized, concentrated, and projected. It is metaphorically like the invisible eye of a sacred keyhole. It has no eyelids, it does not close on its own, and if we do not consciously close it, it becomes an open valve. Information enters through it, but power also escapes. Imagine your body as a chalice, a sacred vessel that contains the finest oil, your essence. If this chalice has a small crack at its bottom, it will never be full, no matter how much you fill it. The navel is this bottom, and this crack is the lack of awareness of its role. During the day, we interact with dozens of people, we absorb noisy environments, and we overlook the intentions of others. All of this influences our subtle field. Yet what few know is that the navel functions as a center of unfiltered energy absorption and release. It is particularly sensitive to intense emotions and intrusive glances, charged words. From this perspective, it's not about protecting oneself out of fear, but rather about sealing oneself off out of wisdom, just as we close a door in winter to keep the house warm. Sealing the navel helps maintain our inner energetic temperature and prevents our vitality reserves from dissipating unnoticed. This is where an ancient practice comes into play, one that has survived almost like a whisper among healers, yogis, and keepers of hidden traditions. Covering the navel with a small disc of cloth or even with a finger, intentionally at key moments, is not superstition but spiritual science, but rather the alchemy of the body. This seemingly simple act activates a chain reaction in your energy system. When the body notices the seal, it redirects its flow, like a river that finds containment and deepens its bed instead of overflowing. What was previously escaping is now condensed. What was lost is now refined. There is also a direct relationship between the navel and the enteric nervous system, often referred to as the second brain in the abdomen. This system, connected to the solar plexus, is responsible not only for digestive functions but also for intuitive perceptions. Have you ever felt an emptiness in your stomach when confronted with something your mind did not yet understand? Or an expansion in your abdomen in moments of gratitude or connection? When the navel is consciously closed, the bioelectric field of the abdomen is strengthened, and with it emotional clarity, intuition, and the energy available for action. It is as if by closing this door, all inner lights will begin to shine brighter. In addition, some practitioners of tantric traditions claim that the navel is a miniature mirror of the cosmos. According to them, it is a microchakra connected to the higher planes by an invisible cord, a strand of light that still connects the soul to its origin. Every time we touch it or cover it with intention, this thread is activated, as if dialing a secret number on a cosmic telephone. What happens next, what many describe, happens without being able to explain it. A feeling of the presence of inner peace, that something has clicked. Other people report lucid dreams, sudden clarity, or a return to themselves after days of confusion. All this begins with a single gesture. Pay attention to that forgotten point that was always there, waiting to be recalled. The moment you decide to consciously cover your navel, you are not just covering your skin. You are activating an ancient alchemical mechanism that is transforming your insides. It is as if a key is turning in a forgotten portal, and then you begin to hear. Even in the oldest esoteric teachings, the human body was considered a living replica of the universe, a perfect microcosm in this sacred map. The navel is not only the physical center of the body, but also its original energetic anchor point, an epicenter through which vital currents circulate. Here, the inner fire can be rekindled or extinguished. If you leave this point unprotected, the outside world has free access to your energy field. It's like living with the door to your house closed. When an emotional flow is partially open, allowing extraneous vibrations or collective thoughts to penetrate and disrupt inner harmony, the body behaves like a poorly tuned radio, picking up noise, distortion, and spiritual noise. However, when you begin to cover this center, whether with a cloth, a small flat quartz crystal, or simply by applying simple hand pressure during your practice, you create a sacred container, a chalice, in which your energy begins to concentrate. This act triggers a series of adjustments in the body. Subtle system. First, the auric field condenses, meaning your aura becomes more compact and stable. It is as if the invisible cracks through which your energy escaped are closing. This reinforced field protects your nervous system from external disturbances and enhances your ability for concentration, intuition, and personal attraction. Second, the flow of energy that was previously scattered outward begins to circulate upwards through the spine in an ascending spiral. Instead of dissipating, this energy is channeled. It becomes what many traditions call the sacred oil, the dew of the soul, or even the milk of the gods. From an alchemical perspective, the cerebrospinal fluid represents this inner nectar that rises when everything is in harmony. This upward movement activates other important glands: the thymus, thyroid, and pineal gland. The pineal gland, considered the seat of the soul in many mystical traditions, begins to receive purer signals. It is as if, by sealing the root, the soul's antenna can ascend more clearly to the higher planes. Higher, and this is where the inexplicable happens. Some report experiences of absolute clarity, others of inner visions, lucid dreams, or a deep feeling of peace. It is not a fantasy but a vibrational realignment, a realignment of the inner axis of the being. Moreover, this gesture also produces a strong effect on the emotional level. Self-control. You learn to conserve your energy, not to give it away, not to exhaust it in relationships or situations that only exist out of habit. Your field becomes magnetic, not by imposition but by authenticity. What once eluded you is now transformed into presence. The sealed navel becomes a physical reminder of the sacred boundary, a silent gesture that says, "Here begins my temple, here begins my magic." Over time, this constant practice allows the body to enter a state of more harmonious resonance. You become more receptive to your own needs and more selective about what you let in. It's like tuning a forgotten instrument. And when the body vibrates on its correct note, reality becomes. It's not enough to know that the navel is an energetic portal. True power is released when you integrate it into your daily life through simple, consistent, and conscious actions. Esoteric wisdom is not meant to remain hidden in books or distant rituals, but to illuminate your everyday life. The first step is to view the navel not as a mere body part, but as the sacred center that defines it. It seals your center every morning before you step out into the world, just as you dress to protect your body. Physical body, cover your navel to protect your energetic body. You can use a small piece of cloth tape, hypoallergenic tape, or even a soft bandage with an intention painted on it, such as a sun symbol, a spiral, or a flower of life. The key is in the intention. As you do this, mentally say, "With this seal, I guard my energy. What I am is mine." This small morning act serves as an invisible shield in crowded places, rooms with many people, or during interactions where you tend to exhausted. To practice manual connection for several minutes a day, especially in stressful situations or before bedtime. Place your palm on your navel and breathe deeply. Imagine that a golden light is projected from your hand, entering through the navel and expanding inward. This exercise not only calms the nervous system but also reconnects you to your center. It is a simple gesture that serves as an anchor when you feel like everything around you is spinning. Come back there. 3-use oils or energetic ointments. Some traditions use essential oils such as frankincense, myrrh, palo santo, or lavender, applied drop by drop to the navel, act as a cellular memory activator, as the navel, as an ancient source of nourishment, responds very well to subtle substances. Try this before spiritual practices, meditation, or when you want to regain inner strength. Fourth, observe your emotions as you seal it. Many people report a noticeable emotional shift when beginning this practice. Don't be surprised if you feel more clarity and power when covering your navel, or even stored emotions that come to the surface. The seal not only saves energy but also prevents old emotional patterns from intruding as before. It is an exercise in inner sovereignty. Fifth, teach this practice to others with respect. If, after a few days of practice, you notice real changes in your energy, concentration, or emotional state, don't hesitate to share it, but do so by example, not by imposition. Magic is not forced. It is contagious with authenticity. When others ask you why it makes you more focused, peaceful, or with more light, it's time to explain to them that it all began with the covering of something as small as the navel. Ultimately, these practices require neither blind faith nor grand ceremonies, but only presence, coherence, and consistency. The body responds when listened to, and your energy, like an intelligent river, flows better when it knows its course is protected. In a world that constantly draws us outward, into screens, noise, hustle, and bustle, it may seem incomprehensible at first glance to speak of the navel as a portal of power. It may seem like an eccentric idea, but upon closer inspection, one understands that it is not just a physical center, but a symbol of returning to oneself, to the core from which life emerged. The navel is the physical testimony of your first connection with existence. Before you first breathed, before you opened your eyes to the world, you were held by an invisible cord that provided you with everything you needed. This cord may have been severed at birth, but its energetic imprint remains, and like any portal, it still waits for you to recognize it. Cover it, seal it, activate it. This isn't superstition, but a subtle declaration of spiritual sovereignty. It tells the universe, I recognize my center, I gather my energy, I gather my strength, and when you do this, you not only transform yourself, but also change the world around you because your vibration shifts. Perhaps you've felt more than once that something inside you is escaping, that you feel drained, that you're empty at the end of the day for no apparent reason. Perhaps it's not physical fatigue, but an invisible energy leak, a loss that occurs silently. A point that you never considered, and now you know. Now you can seal this leak again to close this threshold and turn it into an altar. For the navel is not just a scar, it is a sleeping seal of forgotten magic. And when you honor it, when you protect it, when you listen to it, something inside you remembers. Remember your power, remember your connection with the whole, remember that you were born complete with a sacred map inscribed on your body. Today, I invite you to stop looking outside for what already lives within you, to experience this exercise with an open mind and heart. If you want, you don't have to suddenly change your entire life. Simply pay attention to this small center for a few minutes each day and watch how everything begins to transform, as if a secret will begins to turn. Remember that the most powerful portals open not outward, but inward, and your navel is one of them. If this knowledge has resonated with you, if you felt that a part of you has awakened or remembered something old, I invite you to go deeper. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell so you don't miss the next revelations, and share this video with those you know who are ready to remember who they are. Like it if this wisdom touched you, and let me know in the comments. Have you ever felt energy in your navel? Are you ready to seal your center and release your magic? See you on the next journey where the invisible becomes visible.